Hello, and welcome to Chapter 7 of my 0% LTC of Justice and Pride. Today's chapter is pretty normal. For the most part, though, it's not anything special, but it does have some interesting straps, which we'll see much later in the video. To begin with, we take care of this mage on the left side for two reasons. One, to get Melinda a little extra EXP, and two, because we want to get them out of the way. Melinda will be heading toward the northwest, where it is easiest to take Donovan and drop him across the moat. As you can see, this part of the chapter is pretty straightforward, as we just simply head for where it's easiest to rescue drop across the moat, as mentioned before. Here, Donovan, in advance, grabs a vulnerary to heal, as well as prepares to take on a bandit that comes nearby, as well as attract the shaman so that he can be rid of the next Tory. I should mention the overall mechanic of this map, which is simply that on the fort where the knight is, there is, if you end your turn on it, and then two bridges appear, which is the easiest way to get over to the left. However, going that way requires you to go through a lot of enemies. So, you may think that we're not going to activate it at all. However, there is a reason to activate it, and that's simply to lure enemies away. Now, to begin with, you may notice that I'm using Derek immediately to already lure an archer. For this, the reason why this archer is lured is because he holds a secret book. While we don't need skill, obviously, on any unit, because skill is basically one of the worst stats in Fire Emblem, maybe next to luck, it still sells for a pretty penny, so we definitely want it nonetheless. Derek gets a unnecessary crit, as one might expect, and we finally get that secret book that we mentioned. Penny will hang out over here just to heal up Derek so that he doesn't have to use any vulneraries or anything, while luring away more enemies. On this turn, we will also be ending a turn of a unit on the fort I mentioned previously so that we can activate the bridges, which we do here. I should mention the main strategy in how to seize this chapter will be to have Melinda to carry Donovan and Adorn over to near the gate. This will allow us to complete the map in 8 turns. There we visit the village, as you saw, and get an L-file tone. While we won't be using it anytime soon, it's still nice to get nonetheless. Here I realize I forgot to equip Donovan with a steel sword, so I have to do some awkward trades in order to get it over to him. As you can see, Lucas is also helping out with luring away enemies from the Sentinel, because as I haven't very well covered yet, Donovan will be needing to also kill the boss using the Armor Slayer. And to get over there, while making sure Dorn has immediately time to see, requires quite a bit of necessary hits. This is also why we're giving him the elixir and equipping him with the silver lance. Here Derek starts making his retreat along with Penny. As we can see, they're just going to continue to lure enemies away as he is healed by Penny. It's very important that Jake heal, I believe his name is, makes sure to equip the Iron Sword, as you can see, that axe fighter had the Devil Axe. The Devil Axe is very powerful in this game, partially because of the fact that it, instead of causing you to possibly crit yourself, or possibly hit yourself, I mean, it gets you immense strength in exchange for 5 luck, 5 defense, and 5 res. There's not much to talk about in the north, so I wanted to talk about for a second part of why Melinda needs to be leveled at all. Because, while obviously it's nice to have a flyer, there's actually a very specific reason why we want her promoted, and that's because of a much, much later chapter, specifically a Gaiden chapter, I believe, the third one, that requires 8 moves to move from one spot of safety to the next. And considering it's an escape chapter, it's very important that you're able to move from said spot of safety to the next. As you can see, part of the reason Donovan needed that Silver Lance was to kill a lot of enemies that were coming his way. He will also need the Silver Lance this next turn, because he'll be needing to kill this mage. Well, technically he doesn't have to kill her. It is nice to get her out of the way so that there was less to deal with, because on the following turn there will be a lot of things to deal with, to put it lightly. Here I tried to trade the Iron Lance over the Donovan, thinking I could possibly save one use of the Silver Lance, but it was for naught, so I use the Silver Lance either way. Before, of course, making sure to use Melinda and the very flexible trading strats available to me to trade him back the Iron Lance. After a pretty normal and expected enemy phase, this next turn is quite important in strategy. Donovan needs to get 3 hits on the boss with the Armor Slayer in order to kill. Due to that, he needs to... and since we have a whole extra turn, since we have to drop a Dorn, the best idea is to make it happen on enemy phase. Due to this, also, it's quite unreliable initially to have a Dorn any farther from where she's now being placed on the forest. The forest is a perfect spot for her because of the few enemies that will be able to target her. And overall, it's just a very safe spot. Every position near the castle is very important in order to see just how it turns out. I could have equipped Adorn with Shine instead with that enemy phase, and it would have been a lot better, probably, in that the Wyvern would be killed. But I found out that I can actually feed another kill to Melinda here, who needs EXP much more desperately. I do admit that this strategy probably is not as reliable as I would like it to be. As you could see, that enemy phase was pretty dangerous overall, but I also think at the same time that while it does require a moderate amount of luck, all Donovan had to really do was just dodge 1 hit out of any of those, and he would be fine. After Donovan takes care of the boss, we can see that Melinda gets the kill that I mentioned earlier, using the Javelin, before Adorn finishes the chapter in 8 turns, by seizing the throne, or gate rather. And with that, that was chapter 7, completed in 8 turns. Next time will be Chapter 8. See you next time.